Hello and welcome to another episode of the Firearms Insider Gun and Gear Review Podcast. This is episode 121 and part 1 of the Tactical Special. On this show, we showcase gun reviews, gear, and anything else a gun enthusiast may be looking for. We strive to evaluate products with an unbiased and honest perspective. I'm your host, Ryan Cross from the Firearms Radio Network, your source for broadcasts for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. This week I got with me TJ, Tony, and Rob. How's it going, guys?
Wonderful.
Hey, Ryan. I'm pretty good. How are you?
Doing good. How about Tony, man? How you doing? Hanging in there?
Tony looks frozen.
Tony is muted.
He's muted and coughing.
I think he may be mid-alien abduction based on the face.
Yeah, unmute yourself.
He's having a seizure.
One more time.
All right, there we go.
All right.
All right, I'm back. Hey! Okay, you guys are rude. I'm doing fine.
Tony, I'm coming for you.
You keep your giant finger away from me.
What did everyone do in guns and or knives this week? I'll start with TJ.
Okay. Well, since you're gonna go that way, I'll start with the cool gun stuff that I did. I actually took a couple new shooters to the range. Let's see, the weekend before last, since I haven't been on lately, took a friend of mine and his girlfriend to the range for the first time. Brought them. They came over to my house and we did kind of like a basic, this is the gun, this is the magazine, this is the trigger, everything from ground up with the safety rules and the, how to hold the gun, how to pull the trigger and all that. And it was a pretty cool experience because I kind of walked them through from nothing all the way up. And then before we left for the range, I actually have it's like a scale replica of a Glock 19 airsoft. So we went out in the backyard and shot that a little bit just so they kind of get the operations, and then we went to the range, rented a Ruger Mark II, and brought my Glock 19 or my Lone Wolf 19, and shot both of those, and we all had a good time. It was fun there, and since what Ryan was alluding to, my knife adventures this week, I was cooking dinner the other night and sliced the tip of my finger off, and it was not fun. So watch your fingers when you're cooking, when you're dealing with knives.
Only you can prevent negligent cutting.
Yeah, it was a negligent knife discharge.
Yeah, what was the giant blade you were using to cut stuff up?
It was a Victorinox chef's knife. It was a Swiss Army knife. It's not the kind of knife.
That's what I thought it was when they said Victorinox. I was like, Were you using a Swiss Army knife to cook dinner? Dude, you're hardcore.
Yeah. It says Swiss Army on the blade.
Okay, so when you cut your finger while chopping stuff up, you still eat the food? Or you had to throw it all out because it had blood on it?
Oh, no, the knife was so sharp it cut it clean. I didn't get blood anywhere until a few seconds later, then when it started gushing on the floor. So whatever I was cutting, the cutting board, everything was clean.
Okay, you said to pick up that piece of finger that got lopped off and make sure it didn't get in the food, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, I thought my dog ate it at first, but he was just eating a piece of lettuce I had dropped. But actually, it's kind of cool. I thought that was kind of neat. Took a picture of the spare piece of finger, and it just looks like it's coming through the countertop.
Oh, that was really your finger?
Oh yeah.
I thought you'd photo edited something from a picture.
Nope. Wow.
Holy crap. Well,
yeah, it looks surreal.
At least your shooting groups will probably work their way from left to right now that you're going to put less finger inside that trigger guard, right?
No, well, that's my left hand, so.
Oh, okay. You're good then.
Yep.
So, Tony, what'd you do in guns this week?
I had a great time this week in guns. I got my Smith & Wesson 686 4-inch barrel, took it to the range. It shot extremely well. I had a trigger work done to it because I'm using it in my NRA classes, and I want everyone to have a positive experience. So I had the trigger pull lightened up, so even someone with small or weakened hands can still use the Smith & Wesson 686 without, 8 to 12 or heavier trigger pull, double action trigger pull. And then the highlight of my weekend was actually teaching 25 kids how to shoot 22 rifles, working with the group in New Jersey called Second Amendment Women. They had a kids-only 22 shoot. And they brought in a bunch of children between the ages of 8 and 18. And taught them the Eddie Eagle course, and then we went to the range and fired some rounds out of Sean from Black Bag Resources, Henry lever action. It was awesome. Just seeing kids being really excited and being safe with firearms, and watching the girls outshoot the boys with monotony. It was great. Everybody should try to do that and get some kids out and work with them like that, because it really makes you feel good about what we're doing, you know what I mean, and supporting the Second Amendment and trying to make it grow to the next generations. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah. And now, how many people did you have in your group?
We had 25 kids come out total. We ran them through in groups of 10. We tried to keep them in groups of 10. We had 3 ports on the active range. So we tried to keep the number of kids down and keep them in one corner so they weren't getting in people's way.
Mm-hmm. I missed that. I missed the actual answer to your question. What was it again? How many?
Oh, 25.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good bit. That's 25 kids that had a positive experience and now are a little safer. That's a full classroom worth of kids that are now a little safer.
We were expecting 15, and
Mm-hmm.
they just kept coming. They kept coming.
They brought friends and cousins.
They brought neighbors. They brought friends.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
I'm looking. Hopefully, I can get to the next one and volunteer.
Cool.
Nice.
And
you, Rob?
what'd you do, man?
Well, I went out this weekend with my aunt and my uncle to the range, and we shot everything from a 22 slide fire all the way up to 300 Win Mag, and we did the Win Mag just because we believe the shoulder is evil and must be punished. And that 22 slide fire is really fun, especially with the tactical solutions, that integrated suppressor barrel they make for it, and then you have people coming up looking.
Was it the X-ring or the actual integral barrel?
No, you've got the barrel that goes about 11 inches long, then it kind of flares out for a
the shroud
muzzle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I forgot what
I think that's their X-ring.
Yeah, but it's designed to slide.
It's shrouded.
Yeah, it's a shroud for the suppressor to fit in to keep it 16 inches. But you shoot that, and people from 3 or 4 lanes were coming over because you run that thing in the bump fire mode, and once you get used to the pressure you have to put on there, you can run a full mag out pretty quick, and it's only 22, so who cares? And then I got to play with the XM42 over the weekend, and that is basically fun in a box. I mean, I can't think of anything more fun than that thing.
Is that
portable
flamethrower?
Yes, the XM42 portable flamethrower. It's
gas-powered one.
Awesome. Yeah. Yep. It's basically, if you want to get down to it, it's basically a squirt gun for adults. But it is
there you go.
fun.
Did you have any snow to melt with it?
No, it's all melted, unfortunately. But I got to try to melt the driveway, so that was fun. We're like, where to shoot it? Oh, shoot it over the water. Oh, there's enough dried grass around there. We'll probably start a forest fire. Nah, let's just try the driveway, because asphalt doesn't burn very easy. So we did the driveway, and it was fun.
Yeah, get out some tar and do some resealing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, leave it up to Ryan to take all the fun out of using a flamethrower.
No, he doesn't take the fun out of it. He adds the fun to the chores.
The last time I held a propane torch, that's exactly what I had to do, was reseal the driveway, and it was awesome.
Okay.
So, what I did was I went to Rainier Arms because I got that phone call that everybody who collects tax stamps anxiously waits for. My SBR tax stamp had came in, so I drove all the way up to Auburn to Rainier Arms, which if you live in Washington and you have not been to Rainier Arms yet, you are sadly robbing yourself of just so much potential jealousy and lost paychecks. I mean, if I won the lottery, I'd go to Rainier Arms and I'd buy some really nice boutique rifles. You're not going to find, plain Jane Wasser 10s and, your entry line ARs there. Everything is built really to be on the cover of a magazine. I mean, if you look through Recoil magazine or Ballistic magazine, those like freaking like calendar quality guns are what they have in their shop on the walls. So I went in there, and of course they are offering the service of, since in Washington State, as a civilian, you're not able to SBR, manufacture an SBR yourself, but luckily I can go to Rainier Arms and basically transfer it to them. They turned it into an SBR, and then give me a call when that tax stamp that I've applied for comes back, and then they basically transfer it back to me. I think that's roughly how the process goes. So I did get my Lone Wolf G9 back. So it did have a 10.5 or 10-inch barrel from Lone Wolf. The only thing that's different here is it no longer has a SIG arm brace on there, keeping it a pistol. So now I can legally have a collapsible stock on it, which is pretty ridiculous that you have to jump through all those hoops just so you can do this. It's not any more potentially lethal or more effective on. Well, it is more effective because I can shoulder it legally now. Whereas before with that SIG brace, you really couldn't make contact with your shoulder, or else it'd make the ATF cry. So now I can do that. So they just do a simple little engraving on the receiver there, so it doesn't even have to have my trust engraved on there. It's got their business name engraved on the receiver, and then it is in my trust. So it was kind of a really convenient way to have that done, and having them do it gives some shared liability, so I know it's been done correctly. So then the only thing is that I noticed is my suppressor, my Eco 9, that I wanted to have attached to this this barrel. There's a gap. This ASAP, basically the spud that's inside the can that mounts to your barrel. There's a gap here that I need to fill with a spacer, or I've been actually contemplating with my machinist buddy what's the best way to do it. And we're just gonna. I actually ordered a oversized thread protector, and we're gonna mill it down and make it so that it fills that gap nicely. And when I screw down the can, it bottoms out on that spacer, as well as the end of the threads, as well as the inside of this little spud. So that's what we're working on right now. Obviously, it does not have a handguard on it. This is my super awesome blowback, minimalistic design. It's going to catch on, I think. Just don't put your hand here when you're shooting, unless you want your fingerprints removed.
You got to hold the silencer, right?
Yeah, you got to hold the can with that, C grip that they show you in those Magpul DVDs. Actually, the handguard that I got for it is this like 15-inch Fortis Rev 2. So it's been Cerakoted Battleship Gray. It's got an M-lock system on
like
there. I don't even want to call it Stealth Gray anymore, because Battleship Gray just sounds so much better.
Call it Primer Gray.
Primer Gray, yeah. So it's got an M-lock hand stop on there. I wove in some paracord, so I don't know why. I was bored.
It looks cool.
It looks cool, right?
It looks cool.
Yeah, it looks cool.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
That's
And so then I've got the fixed front sight from Troy on there. I really like those sights. So this overlaps my suppressor by quite a bit. So overall, it's over 16 inches in length, which looks ridiculous because it's like I went through all this trouble to SBR something, and I'm putting a can on there, and it's over 16 inches. So it looks like a full-size rifle. But this overlaps.
But if you didn't SBR it,
what's
would
that?
be even
A full-size barrel would be like 20 inches.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I thought about getting maybe an 8-inch barrel or even smaller to bring it down just another couple inches, but I really don't mind it. And if it increases accuracy and just kind of counters the drastic drop 9mm takes at 100 yards, I'm all good with it. So this is the handgun I use. What's that?
What is your barrel right now? 10 and a half?
10 inches, yeah.
Okay.
And that lower is strictly for the 9mm upper, right?
Yeah. So it's both Lone Wolf's lower and upper, and it does take Glock magazines. So Glock 26, Glock 19, Glock 17, even the Happy Sticks, and it's not in reach, but the 50-round drum takes all those. So it's kind of like my sort of tactical survival rifle, but also kind of count my own, like more. This is like the most expensive carbine I have, so I'm kind of treating it well. My assistant handed me the 50-round drum, so that's what that looks like. It does hang down quite a bit. It's almost like something can't describe on the friendly airwaves, but it hangs down quite a bit on the gun, kind of lowers the center of gravity, especially if you have that full with a whole box of ammunition. But it should be some good times.
Yeah, it'd be kind of cool if they could mount that to like a 26 body.
What's that?
I said it'd be pretty cool if they could mount that to like a 26 magazine body to make it a little more compact to the weapon.
that would be really nice.
I mean, obviously the market would be pretty limited, but
since Magpul's making Glock compatible magazines and they've put out a D60, I am pretty sure they could do that. So, since I know Magpul listens to every show that I put out, please start on that a drum magazine for Glocks. 15 or 26 or 10 round sizes. That'd be great. So as far as my optics on this thing, I've got the Spark 2 from Vortex, as well as the Vortex magnifier, so I can swap it to the side. And I got my awesome Call of Duty, dual, magnification level setup. I'm sorry I said the C word. I know that upsets a lot of people. That's when I was first exposed to magnifiers. I was like, wait, that exists? That's awesome. It has 3 power. It looks pretty sharp as far as fitting with that red dot sight. I can even keep the covers on the Spark 2 and then pop them open and still use the sight, as well as when I'm not using it, I can close the covers back down and put the magnifier back into its position. And I still have use of backup iron sights. So it's kind of a lot on there on the top rail, but it's you're just kind of made so that I can reach out a little bit farther, see my groups better.
Nice.
Yeah, because nothing says lightweight survival like a 10-pound 9mm carbine.
It is not 10 pounds, sir. I know that for a fact. It's probably closer to 9, so take that back.
Yeah, no sling.
Well, I just thought that'd be appropriate, being that this is part 1 of the tactical special. I'm like, tactical things that I think are kind of lame, but marketed to mall ninjas. So I actually didn't say tactical. I meant like this is actual tactical things that are a little bit out of the box that work really well with modern sporting rifles. Of course, you're just going to have some pros and cons to everything we talk about in the next 3 episodes. So this week we got some stuff, just kind of get into it. Next week we're going to focus on optics only, because Vortex just put out some new optics for 2016 for your ARs. It's going to be really exciting to talk about, and some other stuff from other optics manufacturers. So part 2 will be an optics only special. And then part 3, I'm not sure what that'll be yet. Maybe tactical EDC, so smaller gear items for everyday carry. I'll think about it.
Yeah, like Victorinox knives.
Yeah, right?
Not so much EDC, the one that I had.
So anyway, that's the announcements real quick. Bandwidth sponsor for this podcast is brought to you by Patriot Patch Co. Check out where we're making these awesome patches. I'm wearing one right now. This is the Team M-Lock patch. I'm more on the M-Lock side than Keymod, so I'm kind of representing. If you do like Keymod, we got a patch for that too. So right now we got some cool pre-orders available. I got Vera from Firefly, so the mythical modified Sega rifle that Jane Cobb calls Vera in the show. We got a patch for that, so if you're a sci-fi fan and you get the reference, that's a must-have. We've also got Endless Possibilities with an AR-15 lower, painstakingly designed to be accurate proportionately. Also, we've got Make Your Own Damn Sandwich for the parents or the female in your life that is trained and is not one to take sass, especially when you tell her to get back in the kitchen and make me a sandwich.
And that was designed for TJ.
Yeah. Yeah, see that? I got mustard on the knife. I need to replace that with ketchup, and then that'd be for TJ. And then we got a Got Wood patch. It's got a Mosin Nagant overlaid on top of a Spam can shape. So we got more coming on the way. Probably next week I'll have some more on there for pre-orders, and so stay tuned for that. Also, going to go ahead and start letting you guys know that Patriot Patch is going to be at the Stone Mountain Machine Gun Shoot in Pennsylvania coming April 29th through the May 1st or 2nd.
I think so, May
we're going to
1st.
be there selling shirts and patches. So if you want to meet me or Jake or buy some of our patches firsthand, I'm also shoot some sweet machine guns and suppressors in what's probably going to be the Knob Creek of the East Coast, Northeast. Be sure to check it out.
The sacrifices you make for your company.
Right? I'm pretty excited. So then we've also got, also obviously guests are always welcome on the show. So if you want to shoot me an email at my new address, gungearreview@gmail.com, we'll get you on the show. And also the Firearms Insider website has been updated. It's been updated for over a week now. So we're making it easier for either ourselves to do product reviews, because it's a little bit easier than WordPress, and I think it looks a whole lot nicer, but also for you guys to do your own reviews. So if you got a piece of gear, even if we've talked about it before and we've mentioned it in an episode, we want to hear your perspective and your experience with it. So we're making it easier for you to submit reviews, and we're even going to be offering some swag in the future to help incentivize you guys to start participating in the community. So right now, if you go to firearmsinsider.tv, we've got a submit page where you can fill out a little form, and kind of, if you've written any reviews in the past or you have something kind of written up, you can kind of link to it. Tell us about your experience, what kind of items you'd like to review. Can you take good pictures? Can you spell good? Spell well? And so you just submit that form, and we'll get back to you. And yeah, you could be one of us cool kids and write reviews for the Firearms Insider. So that's the announcements that I had. Now we're going to get into the product spotlight. So first up this week, this isn't necessarily new. I guess it's been out for a year, but being a brand new Tavor owner myself, figures right before they released the X95, basically Tavor Gen 2 to the civilian public. My luck, exactly. They've got this cool product made by Fab Defense, also kind of like Mako Group, for the Tavor that's designed to give it a bipod rest. And they call this the Tavor Podium. And I hadn't seen this before, but it's been out for a while, so there's some reviews that exist out there in the wild web. There's also some videos, so if you go to YouTube and you look up the Zahal, Z-A-H-A-L, YouTube channel, you'll see some very attractive Israeli women shooting the Tavor and demonstrating how to run it properly. Pretty badass. Can I say ass? Pretty bad, but I don't know. We'll see.
You can say that on the radio.
Yeah,
Pretty
right?
sure.
If Simpsons can say ass, I can say ass.
Maybe not that many times in a row.
Maybe not that many times
Kill it
in a
now.
row. Take it down. All right. So basically, the unique thing about the Tavor, which I actually have mine handy,
How convenient.
obviously it's a bullpup. It's a little bit more unique design. It doesn't come with a bottom rail from the factory configuration. So if you wanted to attach a bipod, you'd have to, kind of configure a bottom rail and then put one on there, and it would just kind of look a little goofy. You don't really have the length to set out a bipod a foot and a half in front of you and actually load pressure on it and use it like a traditional rifle. So Fab Defense invented this kind of unique short-legged bipod that attaches to the trigger guard. I guess they refer to this entire handle and its sweeping front part as a trigger guard. It actually mounts to the bottom right here, and it kind of integrates into the grip, so it actually doesn't look all that intrusive, when it's mounted on the gun. But it deploys two little stubby legs at the bottom, and it almost looks like, almost insect-like, like little upside-down antennas. And so it basically just gives you two bipod legs that rapidly deploy at the push of a button to be able to rest your rifle on a bench or on the ground. So if you watch, like I said, that Zahal video, actually show the podium being used and how to use it. Basically, instead of trying to load it using forward pressure of your body, you kind of want to use your arm and apply downward pressure. But it's basically a quick and easy installation, no gunsmithing required. There's really no protruding parts, so if you have a case for it, it's not going to add any unusual length or height to your gun where it's not going to fit any longer. It's made of reinforced polymer composite, just like every other toy that we like to play with in the modern sporting rifle world. It saves valuable rail space for mounting other accessories like, flashlights and foregrips and vertical foregrips on the, the supporting end part right here. So you're not having a bipod take up a bunch of space on this part. You're having it added right here. So it's available in black, olive drab green, or desert tan, and since those are made by Fab Defense, I have a strong confidence that those will actually match the colors of the Tavor, being that they're kind of both in Israel, and they're really Fab Defense and IWI and the Mako Group are kind of real close friends, so I'm going to assume that those colors are going to come close. It's designed by Tamir Porat, who's the actual designer of the Tavor TAR-21. So it's compatible with the TAR-21, including the S-TAR-21, G-TAR, C-TAR-21. Not compatible with the X-95 as far as I'm aware of. That's pretty much the information on that. The MSRP, which I did not mention, I found it, I think it's $90. On Amazon, I found it retail $75.95. So it's a pricey piece of plastic, but I think it adds kind of a unique function to the Tavor, because if you want to set it down or use it as a rest, you've got to basically use a secondary item like some kind of Caldwell rest or maybe your range bag, or you got to figure out some other bipod situation like I did. I actually have the Voltor. Those kind of sound similar. The Voltor was the MP1 modular two-piece legs mounted to my Tavor, and actually I'm liking it a whole lot. It's getting almost to the point of being too many accessories on this guy. It's starting to look a little bit Mall Ninja, as Tony would put it. But that's also an option too for getting a bipod on there.
Yeah. Now this thing, the Fab Defense, what do they call it? The TAR podium or TAR podium. It, like you said, it looks pretty seamless. I mean, it adds like a little bit of bulk, but not too terribly much to the bottom of the grip, I guess, area, trigger guard, whatever they're calling it. And I just watched that video that you referenced, and it looks like it deploys pretty easy. They don't really show to like a detailed close-up of how it deploys, but it looks like the lady shooting it just reaches down and hits something with her right thumb and flips it down, kind of like she reaches down, hits a lever, and they just pop out spring-loaded out of the bottom. So it deploys really quickly. And I actually went ahead and put that video in the show notes so people can take a look at it.
Cool.
But, it doesn't look, like you said, it's unobtrusive when it's folded up, and then when it's out, it looks, sturdy. Just kind of curious, I guess, kind of like you mentioned earlier, you're not using it like a traditional bipod, but you're, I guess, to keep your gun and your magazine from resting on the ground, because the magazine extends past the bottom of the grip, huh?
Yeah.
So I guess to keep from resting it on the magazine and possibly having that related to malfunctions, I guess it's a pretty good thing to have there.
Yeah, you definitely accomplished that. Obviously, when you've got it on the bench and you're going down range, that you can use this to deploy it. And if you have a magazine inserted, I don't know, depending, some ranges don't want magazines in guns, in rifles when it's a cold range. But it does basically provide a tripod-like situation to where it's going to balance and stay pointed down range, somewhat stable. It looks a little bit different. It just kind of changes the center of gravity. I mean, the Tavor's center of gravity is kind of more in the rear or center-wise, so it looks different, but it makes sense to me as far as when I see it in use.
Yeah.
So
I imagine being that, like you said, everything's in that area, it probably wouldn't change it too terribly much. Not like you're hanging something off 2 feet in front of the gun. But
right.
Also, you mentioned using it at kind of like a tripod, I guess, whenever you're just resting it on a bench. I'm sure the buttstock would take care of that if the magazine wasn't in there.
Yeah.
So you could do that without having to lay it down in the dirt or something or mud or whatever. You could rest it on that way.
Yep, that's absolutely right. Go ahead.
Oh, no, it's done.
Okay. So I don't know if I'll get this from my Tavor. Were you going to say something, Tony?
Yeah, I was checking out the video also and watching her deploy it. If it's a good piece of kit, it's a good piece of kit. Fab makes a lot of different things. Some of it seems a little weird, but it should be interesting. Yeah. Get it so you can let us know. Spend that money.
Well, the only thing is, since I have a kind of an extended handguard on my Tavor with a flashlight integrated in it, it kind of extends adds a little bit more weight in the front of it. So if I had a bipod at that trigger guard, it would almost act like a fulcrum, like a seesaw. Like the pivot point would be in the middle. So I'd be kind of more concerned that my rifle might want to tip forward or a little bit more prone to that, especially if I had my hand on it and I alleviated some weight from the back end. I mean, on paper it sounds like when I'm proned out it balanced really well instead of being front heavy like most ARs end up being. I don't know. Well, I'll give it some more thought. I do like the way it integrates into that grip. I didn't realize that the Tavor had a kind of a, I'm going to call it a butt plug just for comedic value, but had a butt plug in that trigger guard or in the handle that you could put accessories in. So that's kind of interesting. All right, so that's that. So I got the link to Amazon on there, and then we got the link to the YouTube video. Thanks, TJ. Next up, since we're kind of jumping from the Tavor to ARs, but speaking of Tavor, Manticore Arms, my homeboy Sven, makes some awesome stuff for the Tavor. They've been out for a while now, so they're not really latest and greatest, but they did just put out something for the AR-15 that I think is really unique. They called this the Transformer Rail. So if you look at the Manticore Arms website, you'll see it right on there. It MSRPs for $185, and the unique thing about this is that you could swap out the basically panels to either M-LOK or Keymod on the 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock positions on the rail. You can also change those panels to not be Keymod or M-LOK at all. They come in kind of textured, almost like rail cover panels. So you really don't need to add. You don't need to have Keymod on there and then add some kind of rubber covers for those or some kind of long cover strip for your M-LOK slots. You can just swap these pieces out. So kind of takes the whole modularity and all the latest advancements in these two mounting systems and takes it one step further and letting you choose how much accessories do you want to have available on your rail, or do you just want some grip texture without adding bulk?
This is really cool. They've done a lot with these. I think with both sides, front and back, they have QD mounts, QD sockets. It looks like, and then it looks like they've gotten rid of like every single bit of material they could that they didn't really need to make it lighter. But like Ryan mentioned, I guess it's kind of in the vein of like having the kind of proprietary mounts that are just kind of slots in the side, except for they got tired of something new coming out and having to either their own kind of thing. They said, well, you know what, let's just make a handguard that'll fit everything. You could have M-LOK on one side, Keymod on the other, and then I think Manticore even has their own attachment, if I remember right, something they did before the kind of M-LOK and Keymod hit the scene. They made their own kind of slotted attachment specs, so they also offer theirs as well. But then, like Ryan said, the panels, those panels are pretty cool. They go in like a space holder, I guess. If you're not using the segmented pieces, you can put those on there, and they give you a little more grip. But that's really awesome, and I've heard them talk about them before, and they basically said anything new that comes out, they'll make a they'll make an adapter for it. And one thing I particularly that stood out is that everything's kind of inset into the handguard. So rather than having something stick out off the side like you would traditionally, it's more streamlined, I guess. So that's really awesome that they considered that.
Yeah, Sven, when they were talking about this when it first came out, I was excited over it. They hadn't figured out a price point at that point. I think that was doing the machine gun shoot or something like that, or the bullpup shoot. They took this out there. So I was listening to those episodes, and sounded pretty cool. And, of course, since this was on the show, I went back and watched the video and got excited all over again. Because, I want to upgrade and do some work with my AR, and this seems like something that makes sense because, especially if you're checking out new equipment, or, you can pick up something someone else has, and all of a sudden, boom, I picked up this on, and you can pick up something Keymod, you can pick up something M-Lock, and use them both. Let's say you got a friend that came from Afghanistan. What was that?
I was just going to say, if you happen to already have one type of product, or even if you just order the wrong one, well, you have a adapter that'll fit it, kind of thing.
I've met a lot of guys, doing what I do, and you meet the range, you go to the range, and somebody says, "Hey, I have this I'm no longer using. You want to buy it, or you can just have it." And hey, if it's M-Lock, you're like, "Oh, that sucks. I have nothing M-Lock." Well, with this, hey, you can put it on. One of the coolest things about building ARs, I don't know how many people have, or putting a 4N on this free float, but he was talking about the number of holes they drill through it. Drill through this, what is it called, the locking nut? The barrel nut?
Castle nut. Yeah, barrel nut.
The castle nut?
No,
the castle nut. But yeah, the number of holes he drilled through it to line up the gas tube. What was that?
I said one of those kind of nuts.
It's one of those nuts. It's very 100%. It's called the barrel nut. Sorry.
Okay.
Barrel nut. Sorry.
Yeah, the castle nut's at the other end.
Right.
Yeah, for the butt.
That's what I thought. Yeah. Anyway, barrel nut has a lot of holes drilled through it, so you can line up the gas tube much easier. I was watching a video on that, and I mean, the guy's an engineer. He's not just a guy throwing stuff together. So a lot of Sven's stuff is just well thought out. Some of it might be niche, I mean, it might be just not many people want it, but whatever it is, it's well thought out. I mean, he was one of the first ones to make parts for Tavor.
You said with all the holes, it's like no matter what position, a lot of times they say torque it to, well, I forget the rating it is, but you torque it to that rating, and then
60.
If it doesn't quite line up, torque it a little more or back off a little bit to get it to actually line up where you want. But I think their barrel nut kind of eliminates that. It's like you put it at the proper torque value, and once it's there, there's a pretty good chance that you're going to have some holes that'll line up. And if not, it's not going to be far off, so you're not going to have to worry about torquing it 10 pounds over or loosening it about 10 pounds just to get something to line up, which is awesome. And I do like that they've included their own barrel nut wrench included in there with like a big 1/2-inch hex, so you can put it on a torque wrench too. It looks like it might. No, never mind. So it does look proprietary. So I'm glad that they throw that in there. I mean, I've seen people that use proprietary barrel nut wrenches, but you have to buy them separately for $15.
Yeah, it's quite ridiculous.
I'm glad they decided to do that. Now imagine if you install a bunch of these, you're going to get a little annoyed because you might have 6 barrel nut wrenches floating around your toolbox or something, but maybe you could talk them into doing a trade-in program.
Yeah. Now,
but truthfully, you start building.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, as someone who just got done wrestling with a Yankee Hill barrel nut and using my barrel wrench, and I torqued it as much as I could, and I needed to go even more, which there was no more travel on those threads, so then backing off, it felt like it was loosening too much. Yeah. Just the frustration of that, in order to get that gas tube through that upper receiver. I wish that I had something like this, because that was just a pain, and I actually torqued so hard that I stripped some of those ports, and so I have to order like another barrel nut, which is like $37.
Wow.
So I wish that I was smarter and that I got this transformer rail.
Now I'm wondering what the internal diameter is. I didn't think to look for that earlier.
I did find that because that's something that I too. Yeah, 1.09, so just a hair over 1 inch.
So that wouldn't fit most larger silencers. Maybe a 22 can, but not anything like you're using, huh?
Nope, my smallest diameter one is that 9mm one, and it's 1.25 inches almost exactly.
Yeah. Okay. That seems to be the kind of smallest they get for like full-sized cans, if it seems like.
Yeah. So as far as the cost, how they have the cart set up is that you can add panels as you'd like. So you can either kind of 185 is almost like the base price. If you want to add 3 M-Lock panels, it's $29. 6 M-Lock panels, $58. 9 M-Lock key mod panels, be $87, and 12 key mod panels, it'd be $116 extra. Kind of the same thing with M-Lock, either or. So the reason why you'd want to order 12 panels is that if you kind of had accessories mounted to each one, and you want to leave the accessories on there and just remove the panel itself, not like you're worrying about any kind of optical zeroing, but if that's the way you want to roll and kind of organize all your modular accessories, you could do it that way.
There's 12 slots. Oh no, there's 2. Never mind. I'm sorry. There's only 6. 6 slots. Never mind.
Yeah. So you've got the 2 on the 2 on 3 o'clock, the 2 on 9 o'clock, and then there's 2 more on the 6 o'clock position.
Yeah.
So that's why I forgot to mention the 6 o'clock position when I first was introing it.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the 2 grip panels, basically they call one snakeskin and they call one frag. So frag is obviously a little bit more like a pineapple fragmentation grenade. So it's got that kind of pineapple pattern, and then the snakeskin is just kind of a cross-hatching circular lines. So a little bit more of a reptilian kind of grip, but you can add those on there. The specs, the dimensions is it's 13 inches in the length, 1.5 inches in exterior width, 1.09 inches in interior width, weighs about 7.4 ounces, 3 ounces for the barrel nut, and then it's obviously under half an ounce per panel. So installed total, it's about 11 ounces. The barrel nut material is made out of heat-treated 4140 steel with a black oxide finish. The rail is 6061 T6 aluminum with a mil-spec Type 3 black hard-coat anodizing. Amen. The panel material and finish is 6061 with that same black anodized aluminum. Ships with the transformer rail, barrel nut wrench, and 3 aluminum transformer panels, 3 polymer transformer panels, all the hardware, Allen wrenches, and instruction sheet. Obviously 100% designed and made in America by the awesome Sven himself. Man, that guy is just, if you've ever met him in person, I mean, if you ever see him at a show, he's pretty recognizable. Shake his hand. That dude is awesome. And if you don't get out, go to Facebook, go to Manicore Arms, like their Facebook page, go to their website, check some of their stuff out, because that is a really awesome stand-up company.
I think we mentioned the top rail?
No, I did not.
What, the top Picatinny?
Yeah, so basically the top rail has, rather than the whole thing being railed, they have a small bit in the front and a small bit toward the receiver end, so that way you can mount a front sight in the front, and then if you, I'm not entirely sure maybe a cantilever mount or something like that on the rear. I don't know exactly what the rear would need to be.
If you had any kind of optic that extended past your receiver, like an EOTech that had a magnifier behind it, or maybe, like you said, a cantilever mount where it kind of overlapped a little bit.
So that way, that cuts out a ton of, probably 3/4 of the rail there, so that way it just reduces the weight some more.
Yep, and you got obviously a lot of cuts there for air cooling, so that'll really help there.
I think one of the cooler things about this is it also has 8 QD mounting options just on the rail. I mean, when when you start looking at little things and you're going, well, I'm going to compare this to that, and when you start, you don't have to pay for QD mounts. You just
Right.
don't. It's covered in them.
Yeah, it doesn't matter
I think
where
that-
you want your QD. It's covered because the way they have it, there's 2 panels per side, and then at the very
on the
front
bottom.
there's a QD. There's a QD between the 2 panels, and then there's a QD toward the receiver end, and that's on the 3 and 9 position, and then on the 6 o'clock on the bottom, I think they only have the 2.
Yeah.
I think one in the front, one in the back. So it's like no matter where you want no matter where you want your sling at, you're gonna have a QD point to attach it to, which is awesome. Because that's less money you're gonna have to
Yes.
spend. You know, because if you want a QD, I bought a M-Lock QD slot, and that was like $30. You know, just alone. So that saves you some money right there.
Yep.
And again,
I
it's
do
not
know
as
that
if
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I wasn't aware of it. No, I was checking it out during the description because I was wondering if you didn't want anything. If eventually you'll add stuff to it, but you wanted to get a free floated handrail that weighs 11 ounces, it's a good buy, but it comes with panels already, right? It says it comes with aluminum panels, 3 aluminum, 3 polymer, included for $185.
Yeah, those
Yeah,
those
that's
might
what it
just be
said.
spacer panels or cover panels.
Okay,
But
those
again-
must just be the standard non-textured panels. That must be what that is. So yeah, you don't have to worry about spending money or having that big hole in the side. So yeah, I didn't even notice that.
Because I'm not seeing the pictures of the standard aluminum panels, because I'd imagine you wouldn't get an M-Lock or a key-mod panel with it. With those 3 that they're saying.
Mhm. Yeah, I
I
don't
was looking
think.
for it myself.
Let's see.
You do
You know,
MSRP yet?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, because one thing, they sponsor We Like Shooting, and if you listen to the show, you can hear whatever their discount code is.
Yep, you have to go
I
there
think
to
it's
figure that out.
10%?
There you go.
Yep.
Somewhere around there.
So
Or you can tell them that Ryan sent you, and you will get 0% off.
yeah, unless they think it's
Oh,
Rand
yes.
McChad, and then they're going to give you some.
Yeah, unless you say it's Ryan Chad, or then you'll get a discount. Or better yet, say that Hank Hockey sent you, and you will get a discount. I almost guarantee it.
If you say Ryan Mashad sent you, they'll probably give a 10% increase in pay or rate or
Yeah, an extra fee.
Mhm.
Sweet. So yeah, check that out. Next up, I got a something that's a little bit more, like I said, boutique. I was kind of perusing Rainier Arms' website, some of their new products that they offer, and I came across this PDW lower. It's an integrated PDW stock into an AR-15 lower. It comes at a pretty price tag. However, if you're looking to build a really unique gun with a unique AR with something that you haven't seen every day, starting off with this lower would be a pretty good start. So it's a patent pending monolithic adjustable PDW type stock system. It's actually built into the lower design, and it uses a standard buffer tube. And so you're not looking at a proprietary bolt/buffer tube combination in order because
Buffer,
of
not buffer tube, right?
yeah, buffer/bolt combination in order to make this work. So the MSRP, the price on it from Rainier Arms is $625. So what you get with that is a unique lower. It's not just a lower that's got some stuff bolted on there. This actually saves you the trouble of having to add bulk and more accessories onto it, being that it's built within the billet. It does look like a billet. I'm assuming it's from a billet. Am I correct?
Yeah, I would have to assume, being that it's such a custom design, I would imagine it would have to be billet.
Yep.
Yes, it's billet.
Yep. So it has basically the 2 PDW type slider rods that go on either side of your left or right side of the receiver, but it's kind of got an extra kind of tail built into the buffer tube attachment area at the back, and that's where those rods go through. So you've never really encountered, or I've never encountered a receiver that had that built into it. So it's kind of way different. That has looks like an interchangeable top cover that comes in different colors. So you can choose black, blue, coyote brown, flat dark earth, or red. It does look like it's removable, so if you wanted to custom hydrographic dip it or paint it a different color, you could. So if you're putting it on a kind of maybe like a little race carbine, and you want it to match your team colors, Team Smith Wesson, you can totally use the blue there. Yeah, so it's basically made. It's a collaboration between Battle Arms Development and Cross Machine Tool. So it includes an ambi bolt release and an ambi mag release lever similar to their UHP-15A lower receiver. So the full model name for this guy is called the CMT, which obviously stands for Cross Machine Tool UHP-15 PDW Integrated Lower System. So I've got the link in the show notes. Don't worry, you don't have to remember all that. So it's got a very kind of long name. But yeah, this thing is pretty awesome. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think an easy way to describe it would kind of be like a, MP5-esque. They kind of maybe took some inspiration there, except that rather than just having those flat bars for your cheek to rest on, they have this kind of carbon fiber cover that sticks to the stock and that's attached to the stock. But I think the fact that it doesn't require a proprietary bolt, which a lot of these we've seen a ton of these PDW type stocks.
Yep.
Right.
Buffer, and you have to go with that. And if you want to change buffer weight, it's like I don't even know if there's an option for that with some of the other ones, but with this one, if you need to change to a heavy buffer or a lighter buffer for any reason, you can do that because you're using your standard buffer. Or if you prefer a certain kind of bolt that has this or that, or bolt carrier, that has certain features, whatever, you can do that because you're not tied down based on the stock. And let's see, I do like that low.
Go ahead. Can you hear us, buddy?
TJ kind of roboted out.
Okay.
Convenient that they offer the ambi bolt release or bolt catch.
Yeah, the only thing I have to say about this is 3 words: short barrel rifle.
Yep.
Yeah, buddy.
I
only have 3 words to say too. I hate you. None of this was Jersey legal. The lower is awesome. I was checking it out with the ambi, both mag release and bolt release. This we said it before we were discussing this earlier. Pretty much, this is the maturing of this rifle. Eugene Stoner came up with something that was really ergonomic, and 6 decades later, I actually think they have stepped it up with this. Just lower receiver itself has stepped it up, and then keeping the weapon compact and lightweight was what it was supposed to be in the first place. That's how it was planned. We got a little crazy about 10 years ago when everybody tried to make.
Here.
What's that?
Yeah, I was looking at some of these pictures here on the stock. There's another built-in, back to what we were talking about earlier, built-in QD socket in the stock. So if you need, you could pair this with that Manicore rail, and you wouldn't have to buy a sling attachment.
Yeah, the toe of the stock. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of an odd placement, I think, but there's just not much area.
So Tony, you were talking about the how the evolution and how it's come so far.
Well, we started out as a 7-pound rifle. The Marine Corps changed up in about '82 and made it almost a 9-pound rifle. And then Picatinny rails came out and they got even heavier. And now we're slimming back down and going lightweight again. And it seems to be making sense now. The capability has gone up as the years have gone by, and the weight has gone down. So pretty much and I've said this before, I think we're in the golden age of the AR-15 at this point.
The Great Enlightenment.
I just think it's the commonality has gone up. After the silly assault weapons ban sunset, a lot of companies came out of the woodwork. I mean, think about it. In the 80s and the 90s, it was only Colt, really, and maybe Olympic Arms and one more, Bushmaster.
Bushmaster.
I mean, that was it. Now look at it. I mean, we have tons of manufacturers, and they bring in a lot of new ideas. And then with CNC machinery and CAD programming, it's really how much you're willing to spend on one of these things and how far you're willing to go, especially some of the stuff that came out of SHOT this year. SHOT Show had a lot of different things from ARs. And I think this is one of the smarter ideas, and I think it works out. It's just really expensive, but there was a lot of work involved in this.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
and that machining, that completely unconventional machining, isn't something they normally do. They have to work in labor and stuff for all the engineering and actual machining of that. And that's where that price comes from, because it's not like they don't just throw the lower in the machine and hit go like they used to. They've been doing for years with the standard lowers. They had to figure all that out, and it takes obviously more setup time, more tool time, just different things. So I can definitely see where it would get more expensive.
The cool thing about this, though, is it's a stripped lower, but it has their proprietary ambidextrous features mounted already. And you can put all mil-spec parts on their lower receiver, and they will work. And I think that's what makes them different. And truthfully, I think that's what makes them better.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, if you look at getting the lower receiver with the stock, the buffer tube, the buffer, the spring, the bolt release, I mean, you're getting a decent amount for the $625 they're advertising it for.
Yes.
Yeah, and some people might be a little bit more if they're actually use a cheek weld and not hover their head in the eye relief position like a MP5, might be thinking, well, how much am I really getting out of it as far as the functionality as a stock goes? So it is a 4-position stock. It does look like the button is going to be on the underside. It looks like it's fairly easy to actuate. I find that like the SIG, MCX, and the MPX, those stocks are a little bit more difficult to actuate. I think the controls look like in a better position, easier to get the good leverage on this design. Also, as far as the numbers for your extension, you're looking at a total of 4 1/8 inch of extension overall. But the nice thing is that we were just talking about before the show, really, is that when you have it at its shortest position, it's 1 3/4 inches shorter length of pull than a standard mil-spec carbine stock when the collapsed position. And really, I think a large portion of that length trimming down is the removal of the castle nut. I'm not seeing a castle nut on this this buffer tube configuration, so there's probably a good 1/2 inch there. You guys seeing that too?
Yeah, that length is
makes sense.
So it's not quite as short as some of the other ones, but at the same time, you'd lose that functionality of being able to use whatever buffer and bolt.
Right.
So it's a happy medium, I suppose.
Yeah. So if you're looking at, you want something for your SBR that is as short as possible, so you can really get the benefit of having a short-barreled rifle, then this would be a way to go. If you're looking to add this onto a non-SBR rifle, something in the 16-inch or longer barrel, I think you'd still get with that 4 1/8 inch. You'd still get a decent amount of length of pull, depending on where your optic is set. I'd probably still want to use the cantilever mount in order to get good eye relief. But I think it's still usable in kind of both platforms. It's not ideal for obviously bench rest, or else all the bench rest rifles would be looking like this. So it is set up for what PDW stands for, personal defense weapon. Something that can be slung, something that can be really easy to get inside a vehicle as well as out, firing from a vehicle if you had to, clearing a room, getting through narrow, close quarters. That's the kind of thing we're talking about here.
Yep.
CQB life, son. So yeah, it's... Go ahead.
I noticed about that is you might want to get some kind of a butt pad for the stock, because that metal butt plate looks like it might leave a mark after a while.
But you abuse your
Well,
shoulder with 300 Win mag. What are you talking about? 223 is not
I'm
going to
talking
be.
yeah.
you, not me.
You actually, yeah, one of the things you might want to pick up is some Massengill for the sand in your vagina. Man up, it's a 223. I shoot Mosins with a metal butt plate. You'll be all right with the 223 with a metal butt plate.
Yeah. Well, it's a good point. I mean, you don't necessarily. I mean, you could have this configured to shoot, say 6.8 with the upper that you're using. That's got more recoil. You could have 300 blackout, which isn't a whole lot more recoil, but it is certainly some. So if you've got light clothing, you don't really have like a padded jacket in the summertime, you might start to feel a little bit more irritated with just the flat plate there. So we're not completely going to rank on you, Rob, for mentioning that, but obviously it's something to consider for everybody out there. But I did find if you really like this, but you're like, man, 625 bones, there's no way I'm going to get into that. I'm trying to build something under $700, and I don't even have half the rifle spent, and I'm spending $625 before tax. I did find another option that we're going to just briefly mention, and we got the link in the show notes if you want to find out more. It's from Arma Spec, and it's the XPDW stock. I put a link in the show notes. It's only $179, and this clamps on to your existing buffer tube, and you can use it on your lower. So if you're looking to kind of Frankenstein your gun to look as cool as this without spending all that much more money, under $200, you could go this way, but you'd be cheaping out and you wouldn't look nearly as cool as the guy who had the cross machine tool version. But I am going to put this in the show notes for you if you're interested in looking at it. It uses it's 10 inches fully extended, but of course they're measuring that from the end to end there, so it's not really comparing apples to apples. It's a 5-position stock with an ambidextrous switch, so you could use it as a lefty or a righty. No other modifications, standard mil-spec buffer tube, all that good stuff. They are taking pre-orders, so it's not something you can get like right now. They are looking to ship mid-March, which is just another month away. So check out that link if you're interested in that item as well. Now, I guess we're going to get into the main topic. I do have a review for this week, and it kind of goes along with our theme of actually useful tactical items. And so this week I'm reviewing the Voltor SMO QD Offset Scout Mount. So the SMO stands for Scout Mount Offset. It comes in QD as well as the thumb screw versions or the thumb nut versions. And I picked this up because I was looking for, I had these awesome Surefire lights that I did a review on last week, these Surefire G2X Pros. And I obviously got two. I got one for my pocket, and I got another one that I would have liked to mount it on some of my rifles. I've got an AK, I've got a couple ARs, I've got some couple of shotguns, and they've all got some sort of 1913 rail on them, be it Picatinny rail or M-Lock. So I was looking for something that could easily mount to a little bit of rail, something that wasn't going to take up a big footprint on my weapon system. And I was willing to spend a little bit more just so I don't get cheap junk. I didn't want something that I was going to have to replace at some point because I've had cheap mounts before. And you get what you pay for, honestly. And I was kind of in the mood to buy once, cry once with this and get something that I could actually be proud of and then do a review for and get a bunch of other you guys to kind of admire it and maybe try it for yourself. So I justified it in my mind, and I was looking around at different manufacturers and different reviews that people were talking about QD flashlight mounts. I wanted QD because I wanted to be able to take it off my shotgun and put it on my AK, or take it off my AK, put it on my AR, take it off my AR and put it on my SBR now. You could even mount it on, say you have a tactical rings for your scope, and you have a little bit of 2 slots of Picatinny on the top of one of your rings, and you wanted a mount to put a flashlight on top of your scope on your rifle that maybe might not have, big old railed accessories, you could do that, and you'd have a nice little spotlight for shooting at night. So this little mount accomplishes all that, and it's one of the more highly rated, reviewed, quick detach flashlight mounts on the market. It's made by Voltor. They make awesome stuff. I reviewed the bipod legs from them, the mod pod legs. Same company, same great products. So the SMO, what's unique about it is that, obviously it has this cam action that clamps down on your rail. It's got a button that pops up when you have it tightened down, so I can't just pull back the opposite direction on this lever to loosen it. I actually have to press the button, and then I can unlock the cam. So this action not only clamps down on the Picatinny rail, but it also tightens how the rings grab your flashlight. So not only is it gripping your flashlight tighter when you tighten it down, but your rail. So that's how you get the security of the mount. What's nice is if I have this fully unlocked, I can just drop my flashlight right into it. Usually you have to have it in a position to where it's all the way on the other side so that it loosens the rings enough for you to drop your flashlight right in there. Just like that. So I can obviously twist my flashlight around. If for whatever reason I want it to be indexed one way or the other, I can rotate this thing 360 degrees till the cows come home. Now I can tighten it down on my rail, and it's rock solid. It ain't going anywhere. Now, say I was putting this on my rifle, and I was using it on the 9 o'clock rail, and with the Voltor logo in the upright direction, this was kind of hanging down. Say with my angled foregrip, my thumb, it was just too low for my thumb. Well, I can just unlock this cam, pull my flashlight straight out, and it'll stay on the rail until I physically just pull it off. But I could even rotate this flashlight, put it in the opposite direction, and rotate this thing 180 degrees. So now basically my flashlight is offset but higher, so my thumb can actuate it. So even though the logo is upside down, if you're looking at the rifle, doesn't matter. You clamp this thing down, and now it's offset, but in the, I guess, as far as looking at the clock face, 11 o'clock position instead of 7 o'clock. So that's really nice because you could configure it really easy in a matter of seconds. Take the flashlight out, swap it out, put it in another direction. Obviously, I've got the same light basically, but in a different color. I can pull it out and put the other one in. These are the same. I think these are both. I think 3/4 inch or maybe like 875 tubes. You can obviously adjust the mount when you first get it, and that's kind of like my only complaint is that it didn't really come with instructions to adjust the tension for your flashlight body. So now that I have the light removed, I can point toward the camera. You see there's a bolt head right here that's just a slot for a screwdriver. You basically have to tighten and loosen this, and kind of experimenting with, because there's springs in here that control the tension on your flashlight body and compared to the surface of this clamping body right here where the cam is. So you kind of have to monkey around with that for a couple minutes in order to get it just right, so when you slide your flashlight in, it doesn't go in there too loose like you're throwing a hot dog down a hallway. It's got to be just the right amount of slide in there so that you can cam it down and your flashlight's not going to be moving around. But you still want it loose enough to when you unlock it, you can slide your flashlight out with a relative ease, and you don't have to put it in a vise and kind of squirt some WD-40 and jimmy your flashlight out of it. So once you find the sweet spot by configuring that yourself, like I said, it just takes a screwdriver. You're good to go. So into basically in some, like, my experience with it, I'm kind of conflicted because I love it so much. I want one for every one of my guns, but because it's so modular that I can literally take it off and put it on another gun in under 20 seconds. So I don't need more than one. But I like it so much. I I want more, but I don't need more. So I guess I'm just going to keep the one until it disappears or gets blown up. I really don't have to worry about it breaking. I mean, it does have springs, so you've got smaller parts that kind of, it's not a rock solid design as far as being all one piece and not having a actual spring incorporated in the design. However, I think it's pretty solid enough to where it's going to hold up and it's not going to fail me unless I run it over with a tank, which would pretty much break anything. So getting into the Firearms Insider 8 key points. Claim to fame, the offset scout mount is manufactured in conjunction with American Defense Manufacturing and is a full ambidextrous offset light mount available with either conventional thumb screw mounting or throw lever quick disconnect. So American Defense Manufacturing makes a lot of good quick disconnect mounts. I had one for a magnifier for an AR, and they make them both in the swing out and the kind of flip over configurations, and those are solid mounts. I would almost say that anything made by American Defense Manufacturing is good to go. They do a really good job in their design. The target market is civilians and professionals with railed rifles or carbines, or like I said, tactical scope rings, and they want to be able to mount a flashlight to their weapon platform. So the features and benefits of this mount, so either the thumb screw version or the throw lever mounting version, so the QD version. So you can get either of those. If you don't want a QD mount, you can just get the thumb screw version. It does come in 3 different models: the Quick Release E Series, the Standard G Series, and the Quick Release G Series. And what those mean is basically the CG model fits the certain series, the P Series Surefire flashlights. They're about 0.98 to 1.04 inches in diameter. The E model fits the Surefire Executive Series flashlights, so the E Series, as well as the Streamlight TL2 series lights that are 0.803 to 0.91 inches in diameter. And those are only available as throw lever or quick detach models only. So you'll want to make sure that the light you intend to use or the lights you have in your collection fit in those diameter parameters. So you might want to look it up on the manufacturer's website so you can be sure it fits the width of your light body. So the other features and benefits, it's made of 6061 T6 aluminum with a hard coat anodized. It does have the adjustable tension, like I mentioned, for your flashlight. It's got a very minimal, low-profile design footprint. It's not real bulky at all. Really, it only uses up one slot on your Picatinny rail. I've actually had this on quite a few Magpul detachable rails, the MOE or the M-Lock versions. So you could use this on just a 3-slot rail section. If you want to be able to access the M-Lock screws on the left and right hand side, you'll need to get the 5-slot mount. But this will work on the 3-slot just fine. And also, there's only 2 slots on the top of my scope rail here, and it'll still fit on that just fine. So the other aesthetic options available, it's only available in that hard anodized black. What others are saying, I found 2 awesome reviews, one from Brownells and one from Amazon. So the Brownells one says, I've tried a lot of light mounts over the years. This is by far the best. The unique mechanism of the American Defense cam lever is easier on rails than the LaRue mount, making this mount better in my opinion and less expensive. The cam makes for a secure mount that will not loosen like thumb screws, and because of the large bearing surface, does not require much pressure to hold it securely in place. I also like the camming action also holds the light in place. This enables the light to be quickly and easily removed from the mount, turned around, or reconfigured. This enables it to work with every rifle I've tried it on. I've now got a box full of used light mounts for sale, and that's from Brownells. The Amazon review that I found says, I love this QD flashlight mount. I bought several flashlight mounts for my rifles and shotguns. I've had the cheaper plastic mounts that just can't hold the light securely with the recoil of a shotgun. This mount is also much easier to use than others due to the QD feature. The offset angle mounts the flashlight at an angle I prefer, keeping it out of the way of a DBAL, which I looked up and is actually a top rail mounted laser, kind of like IR indicator, or other accessories you may want to mount. I plan on replacing several of the mounts I have with this model. So the price point is MSRP is $84.95, and that's straight from Voltor in my configuration. I think this was the P series for my Surefire lights, and the quick detach mount. If you want the quick release E series, it's only $59.95, but we're just talking about the one that I got. So $84.95 retail. Brownells has it for $80.99, and Amazon has it for $1 less, $79.99. So I have both of those links in the show notes. If you prefer to shop Brownells or Amazon, either one of those are affiliate links for the Firearms Insider. So we appreciate you shopping using those links to give us a little bit of that affiliate love. So if you need it now, I'd say Brownells or Amazon would be your best bet. I will warn you that Amazon, looking at it right now from the Voltor marketplace, they only have 2 left in stock. So by the time you're listening to this podcast, they might actually be sold out. It's actually sold by Primary Arms now that I'm looking at the link. So you might be able to find the same mount through a different storefront on Amazon, if that's your preferred method of purchasing. So my overall rating was an 8.5 as great. Pros, very durable finish. You know, I've had this on my AK, dropped it on the ground a couple times in the gravel. You know, it kind of has a little bit of the finish worn off on the edges in just a couple spots, but not real noticeable at all. Overall, it's stayed very much attractive with that anodizing. The mount can be removed easily for attaching to either another position on the weapon or another weapon entirely. Also, if you just need a handheld flashlight, you can just take the flashlight off out of the mount without removing the mount from your weapon, which is a really nice feature. So say you have it mounted to your rifle and you just want to pull it off and have it as handheld for whatever reason, you could do that. Just unlock the cam, pull your flashlight out, and lock the cam back down again. It's going to have enough tension, if you've configured it right, to stay on your rail, even without the flashlight on there. It's not going to be like the most secure. It's going to be a little loose, but it pretty much stays in place until you decide to put the flashlight back. Let's see, it's got a minimal footprint on the rail, like I've said, and I've got a picture in my review. I've got it mounted on top of my scope here, and it cleared the turret completely, so I can adjust my elevation without having to remove the mount at all, which is pretty nice too. The only cons I'd give it is just minimal instructions. You know, I kind of had to monkey with it to get it to fit as far as the tension just right. You're kind of looking for a good happy medium balance as far as when you cam it. You don't want it to be so tight that you're having to use a lot of force to cam this down, because I would worry about just, you know, unnecessary force. You gotta have to find the right sweet spot so when you cam it down, you do feel that resistance, but you're still able to get that cam or the lever down to its full position is locked, and then the button pops up without too much force, because it's basically hugging your flashlight body while it's doing that. So you just gotta kind of monkey it with a little bit. It doesn't take too long. So that's really the only con I had for it. So overall 8.5. Yeah, I don't think I'll ever try a different flashlight mount, because I picked one and I got a winner, and I don't really care for my other plastic ones now. So pretty much going to stick with the one until I switch to maybe a different flashlight, something that's got a pressure switch availability on it, in which case I might have to look at the same Voltor mount, just in the different size to accommodate that light. So, do you guys have any questions?
Yeah, what are you going to do with all your other mounts? Brother needs one.
I've got a Viking Tactics just polymer one. Do you want it?
Sure. I'll put it on my shotgun and it's polymer rail.
There you go.
Yeah, my thing is just waiting to find out what's best. I don't jump on anything when it first comes out, because I hate ending up being the guy who has something that just didn't work out at all. You know, I'm the guy that ends up with the Colt All-American 2000, or the R51. So no, I'll wait. I'll wait, see what comes out, see what trends there are, and then you jump on something and you pay for it. Usually by then the prices have dropped. But this seems like a good piece of kit. I had the cheap Walmart version. I think I showed you and told you about that before. It worked once, but you couldn't really, it was detachable, but you couldn't move it from firearm to firearm. You put it on, you have to keep it on, because it was made out of lightweight aluminum, but the screws itself stripped out. And again, if I'd only put it on one firearm, it would have been great. But I moved it because I had different guns I needed to try it on. That's what I think I told you guys before, the story of I had a tactical rifle class that was night fighting, and I had to pick up a mount that would hold a flashlight and work on something that didn't have Picatinny rails. So it clamps onto the barrel, and it really, again, worked fine for what its purpose was, but the minute I moved it from rifle to shotgun, it tanked on me. So this is something that looks like Voltor makes great stuff. And this looks like something that's really good. And you had a positive experience with it. It's just, that $79 price tag.
Yeah.
But buy one, cry once.
Buy once, cry once, man.
Right. I mean, honestly, that's a higher price point than what I paid for the flashlights themselves. But, I mean, I've got it mounted on this rail here. I mean, it's real snug. I can't forcibly pull the flashlight out at all. The mount, like I said, that button keeps it locked down, so it's not going to accidentally release that throw lever. Once I just pull it up even a little bit, I can just slide the flashlight right out, lock it back down, and use it as a handheld. And if I want to put it back in, I mean, I'm kind of really doing this all with one hand. I'm not really using my other hand other than just holding the rail up to show you guys the camera. But here, I just inserted the flashlight in there, and I can tighten it down. Another great thing is that, depending on how long your flashlight body is, I'll loosen this lever. Say I want the button closer to me, I can move it all the way down until where it stops, and I can't. Basically, the bezel makes contact with this ring. Say that's too close for my grip, I can just pull it all the way out until just about to the end, and then tighten it down. So now it's pretty much depending on the length of your flashlight, you have all this adjustability in how you want it to hold on to your flashlight. It's holding it just as securely right here on the end as it does in the middle, as it does all the way up to the bezel.
Yeah, I think this is one of those items that proves if it's well designed, it's worth the money you spend on it. What was the name they call me? Because it's not cheap. Calling someone cheap is rude. I'm tactically frugal. And I want the most bang for my buck when it comes time to any piece of equipment I get. And this seems to be something that's worth it. Also, I'm thinking about these flashlights you've gotten. That seems to be a pretty good deal too.
Yeah, they are.
The Surefire GX.
Yeah, like I said, you can't really configure it for a pressure switch. But if you choose a different Surefire light, they've got ones that will accommodate for that. And then the big advantage is that if you did have a light that had a tail switch, you had that tail switch mounted either with adhesive or Velcro or whatever in the spot where you like the best, you have so much adjustability as positioning the flashlight to where, if you want it further out to where it's not illuminating your front sight or your whatever your muzzle device is, or the end of your rail, or it's casting, what do they call that, barrel shadow? If it's kind of, not completely far enough in front of your light to where it's not catching anything, you have all that adjustability, and it doesn't take a long time. It doesn't really need tools. Once you've configured that tension with the screwdriver, it's toolless. You do it all with your hand.
Nice.
So, yeah. Anything QD that's made from American defense manufacturing, it is solid. They make a good QD lever system. So kudos to them, and kudos to Voltor for making a very high quality QD flashlight mount. That honestly, the price, I'm used to overpaying for milled aluminum for the AR-15. Let's be honest. That's the name of the game. Is you feel like you have the need for a specific accessory that you're paying for what went to milling that piece of metal. And I honestly think that this price tag of basically $80 is worth it for this item. Because you won't have to buy a bunch of plastic ones over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
That gets really frustrating also. I hate to tell people this, but you kind of get embarrassed if you take something to class and it breaks and you just look like the idiot that bought subpar gear and everything has to be held up for you. You probably have to go through the instructor to get something if you didn't bring up a backup piece of gear and hope the instructor has a flashlight mount. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, so when you're looking at is 20, maybe 30 to $50 over what you can pay for the very cheapest flashlight mount, but you got a solid piece of gear and you don't look like a dork to a bunch of people you just met.
Yep, there's that too. So next in the Tech Gadget or app, this is something I also stumbled upon at Rainier Arms when I was there. So this is the Blazon Tech motorized weapon cleaning system. So basically, Blazon Tech has developed a handheld tool that runs on a 9-volt Duracell or 9-volt battery that you can screw on your cleaning heads for like your cleaning rods. But it's designed in a handheld tool that almost looks like a tactical electric toothbrush. Except instead of oscillating back and forth, it rotates the bit like a electric drill. It's small enough, however, and the head of it is designed thin enough to really fit through the ejection port of an AR-15, so that you can use your chamber brush and really get in there and clean out your lugs. But it's just as attuned to working on like a pistol, cleaning your pistol barrel. With that, instead of just pushing a mop through or pushing the wire brush through, it actually rotates. So yeah, it's almost at that end of I'm paying for a really kind of luxury item that people have been cleaning rifles for decades without this, but this might actually catch your eye and help make your cleaning sessions faster, I guess. So before we get into slicing and dicing, I'm just going to cover the basics of it. The MSRP for this glorified drill is $140. However, right now, Rainier Arms, thank goodness, has a special promo on it, special price of $99.95. Thank goodness for that, or else I'd say it's too much money. But it's a pocket-sized tool that comes with basically a 5.56 chamber brush, a 7.62 chamber brush, a 9mm brush, 45 ACP brush, proprietary brush socks, which are basically very, very small socks that fit over these brushes to kind of help in kind of cleaning out all the extra carbon and debris in there. It comes with an extension rod in case you have a longer barrel that you're trying to clean. Comes with some frog lube, 1.5 ounces of the CLP, as well as an ounce of the solvent. Comes with a lanyard, 9-volt battery, and a ballistic nylon case. Just the brief specs on it does have a bright white LED, so it helps illuminate what you're cleaning. It does have a glass reinforced nylon enclosure. That's not real special. The lifetime warranty is on there. As far as the performance, with a fully charged battery, you're looking at over 300 rotations per minute. However, it's basically designed to not be so aggressive that it's going to start damaging your rifling of your chamber. Rifling of your barrel or the the lugs of your chamber. It's not going to be too damaging. It just basically spins at about the speed of, I don't know, a little bit faster than like a cosmetic facial scrubber. I don't know. So there's the objective specs. Now I'm going to hand over the floor to you guys and see what you have to say about it.
As someone that
Looks
was in
like
the
a
Marine
toy.
Corps, as someone that was in the Marine Corps and made to clean your friggin' rifle until a white Q-tip came back white, I was dreaming about this thing all through 1988 to 1993. So yeah, it's awesome if that's what you do. Yeah, it looks like a toy because it has to fit through the ejection port. I think it might be overkill. I mean, now that I'm out, how clean your rifle really has to be. But if you want something spotless, it's a pain in the butt to get your rifle spotless to the point that a Q-tip comes out clean. And this can help, I'm assuming. I mean, I watched them use it in the demo videos. You have to be careful of anything when you're not doing it and you're sticking the machine into your rifling or into your chamber. You have to be careful that you don't damage it. But other than that, I'm thinking it's a good idea. It's $99. You'll be angry about blowing $100 if it kind of sucks, but it doesn't look like it sucks. It just looks small.
Yeah. What about you, Rob?
Yeah, I'll stay with my my manual cleaning kits.
Yeah. Now, obviously, a cordless drill would not be able to get into an AR-15 chamber unless you, A, remove the barrel from the upper receiver and did that lengthy disassembly process, or B, you attached enough extension rods on there where you could come in all the way through the back of the upper receiver or go through the barrel. So, yeah, it works like a cordless drill, but it's purposely designed so that you can get through the ejection port, which obviously works on other similar rifles. Like I was just cleaning the Tavor, and I had this product in the show notes, and I was like, yeah, that would work pretty well for the Tavor too. Granted, it's still pretty freaking easy because I could just pull the whole guts out the back. But as far as cleaning the chamber, which is often overlooked because you do have to get in there with a Q-tip and really get in between the lugs. And most like old school chamber brushes are so stiff that you just kind of jam it in there a couple times and hope that breaks up enough carbon to call it a day.
You see, I was never in the military, so I'm not worried about somebody coming up to my rifle and running a white patch through it. And if they did, I'd be like, okay, it's my rifle, shut up and don't shoot the darn thing. So this is $100 looks interesting. $150 MSRP, I think, is way, way, way too much. But hey, I mean, if you like to have your rifle spotless, more power to you.
Yep. I mean, I think if it
that
was
spotless rifle thing,
$50-$60, I'd be an awful lot more tempted. I probably would have bought it right there, sight on scene, if I was looking at it underneath the glass. But I think even for their special price of $100, it's like how much time is it really saving? I mean, time is valuable, but I've been doing it with cleaning rods like you guys have this whole time, and I've never once thought, man, why don't I just get a used Sonicare or electric toothbrush and just speed up the process a little bit. It's really just saving minutes to me.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I'm out of the military and I don't have to have my rifle that spotless, it's not that much of a concern. But if I was still in, yes, I would definitely do this. That's only $100. You know how many hours you spend at the armory after coming from the range trying to get that rifle spotless just so you can turn it back in again? Oh yeah, this is definitely worth it if that's your thing. And if you're obsessive about it, this will cut down on some of the time so you can go OCD on something else.
Yeah. Well, and if you take a rifle and pistol to the range, I mean, it's really easy to clean your chamber of your rifle and then swap this out to use for your barrel for your pistol. I mean, if you want to put the extension rod on there, if you got like a 5-inch 1911, let's be honest, if you own a really nice 1911, you are anal about keeping that sucker clean and wet and lubed. But it's just a really kind of handy tool if you're, you go to the range maybe only once or twice a month, so you bring extra guns with you, so you can kind of give them all equal time and love, just like children. But then you kind of forget. You get back, you're like, oh crap! Now I've got 7 guns to clean. Dang it! So this would kind of speed up that process, especially with multiple guns. But if you just kind of have one gun and you're used to doing it the old-fashioned way, it probably isn't going to be a game changer for you. But if one landed in my lap, I'd use the heck out of it for sure.
Also those little brush socks, little packages of cleaning cloths are $5 for 25.
Yeah, I was looking at that and how they go on. I mean, truthfully, some shotgun cleaning cloths, and you can just drape it over it and run it through again.
I'll give you guys a tip. You find who makes socks for premature babies, and just buy a bunch of those, because it looks like a little baby sock, but like extra small.
Yeah. And me, I'm just used to taking old boar snake, ripping it through a couple times, and saying, "Okay, we're done. Put it back in a safe."
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no.
Well, the new boar snakes that are like vipers, they have kind of a more aggressive wire brush at the end of it. So I've been guilty of just running that through and calling it good, spraying some rem oil in it, and just throwing it in the safe.
Wow.
But yep.
I know,
so I got
Marine Corps standard.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So yeah, there's a video on the guy using it. If you guys want to check that out and see how easy it is, I'll put that in the show notes as well. You guys have any more to say on that?
Not I.
Nope.
Alrighty. Well, that concludes part 1. So stay tuned next week for when we talk about some of the new optics that have come out for your tactical rifle. Listener feedback, I don't believe we have any, so I'm just going to glance over that. So Tony, what's the next Second is for Everyone event going to happen?
Second is for Everyone. Next event is going to be on April 7th. I'm trying to make it bigger. I'm trying to make the prizes better and different than before. We have BCM. We have Magpul. I'm working on some other companies coming out and helping me out. Follow the notes to the Second is for Everyone show notes. You can go and it'll take you directly to my Facebook page. Like it, and that way you can pick up on any new things we do or any other stuff we have. We have a silent auction with a battle horse knife. We're going to have that on there. Hopefully I can work that into something that actually everyone who has access to the internet will be able to bid next time when I bring something up on auction, so I can open it up to everyone that can legally own a knife. Also, you can check out Simon Says Train on my Instagram. I also post up notices and stuff for the Second is for Everyone on my Instagram page. So that's pretty much it. April 7th is the next event.
Sweet. So remember to send questions or comments to the new email address, gungearreview@gmail.com. And remember to subscribe and leave us an iTunes review so I actually have some listener feedback to read on the air. Good or bad, doesn't matter. If you like the products that we're picking or you feel that we're surely but slowly doing a better job, let us know. We appreciate reading that feedback. Also, check out all the other shows on the Firearms Radio Network on the firearmsradio.tv website. Also, check out the new Firearms Insider website for these reviews and more, and future industry coverage, as well as if you'd like to become a Firearms Insider reviewer. Check that out, firearmsinsider.tv. So that's the end of the show. I think TJ had to go ice his finger or something because he dropped out and he didn't come back. But TJ says bye, and I'll catch you guys up on next week. Have a good week.
Bye, guys.
That'll be good.
Yep.